Under today's pandemic situation, digital transformation has become one of the top agenda in many corporates. Today, we are very happy to have Daniel and Eva as our guests to share their experience with their clients, especially how cloud and cybersecurity can enable the digital transformation journey. Let's start with Daniel. So we understand that cloud is an essential part of most of the digital transformation journey. What do you see is a key enabler that the technology can offer?
So with customer expectations changing all the time in the market and accelerating with COVID, applications need to be robust and up and running all the time. And what they live on are on-demand, nowadays, on-demand infrastructure, data, and service, right? So in other words, cloud computing. So to enable this, I think organizations is more than just adopting the technology. It's actually a holistic change to really take advantage of the cloud elasticity and speed, right? So the first thing you would look at is on the people side, to look at the skills that you have in your organization and how to take those valuable skills and take it into the next era of cloud computing, right? But also where you need augmentation from outside, whether through consulting firms or external hires to add to those skills that you need for cloud, for example, or AI, right? Secondly, from the process side, you would be looking at how do you change your business processes internally, especially in the back end in technology, to really automate decision making and also approvals to be more compliant than ever before and auditable, right? And thirdly, in terms of the technology, again, cloud is powering a lot of big data and AI use cases in the world now because of this agility and on demand. So I think to be able to take advantage of all three aspects, then you can get the most ROI for your technology investments, technology in digital transformation.
I see. So people, process, technology.
Yes.
We are no longer talking about uploading photos to iCloud or storing documents in Google Drive, right?
Well, you can still do that, but behind all that, why does Google or Microsoft or other companies deliver that so well and it's seamless? Is because they do people, process, technology very well in the back end.
Well, what do you see the trend going towards in terms of the cloud computing technology?
Yes, it's very interesting now because again, COVID has accelerated people's adoption and people's expectation of digital platforms and companies, right? Added to that, currently, especially in this region, we're feeling the effects of the tech war and the trade war, right? So I think regulators are very aware of this, and I think the era of having data onshore, but actually at the same time still enjoy the benefits of cloud computing, the ability to do that would be very important. So we're seeing major cloud vendors such as Amazon or Google or Alibaba, for example, they're going very big in the next few years in making edge computing available to various companies out there. So I think edge computing will be a big thing.
Would you sort of explain what is edge computing to layman like myself?
I'm sure you're not a layman, but edge computing essentially is where the classic paradigm of cloud is to centralize into the cloud vendors' data centers, right? Wherever they are. Now, edge computing is to be able to extend that back into a client's own data center in country. But at the same time still enjoy the fact that you get best innovation and the latest updates straight from the cloud vendor. So for example, a bank that has operations in Hong Kong and let's say Greater Bay Area or China, they want to be able to serve the customer across borders very well. At the same time, they still want to use cloud because of the innovation and speed. Now, edge computing would give them the option where it's outside of China, you use the general public cloud, right, for the fast compute. But when you're serving clients with sensitive data in country, let's say in China, then they can have what they call an edge node, which is a small version of the, let's say, Amazon data center in your own data center and treat the data there and keep it in country and compliant. At the same time, all the upgrades and all the AI and all the new features coming from Amazon, as an example, would be pushed down straight from Amazon. So you, as a bank, you don't have to worry about keeping that updated yourself.
So Daniel, you mentioned a few times about ROI benefits to the corporates. Would you mind share some examples of how we really help our clients to obtain real benefit?
Yes, so more recently we've helped a financial services company launch a new service to the Hong Kong market in a period of 6 months, which is a very aggressive target when you take into account the need to build up the applications, the need to build up infrastructure, as well as get regulatory approval. So I think with cloud computing and other technologies such as low code, no code, such as using things like OutSystems or ServiceNow, clearly cloud computing as well as automated processes like DevSecOps and automated detection for compliance and security issues and risks. We're able to help this client do that in a very short time. And without this technology and without these practices and frameworks that we can bring to the client, it would have taken them probably about 5 months just to get up and running, and they have no time to address the business and the regulator side. Now we can cut that time down to about 2.5 months. That's what we think we can achieve with this client.
So you mentioned a few times about cross-border data sharing, data protection, security. Definitely those would be concerns in terms of cloud computing adoption and digital journey. Let's turn to our cybersecurity guru, Eva. What do you think is the cybersecurity management required to enable this digital transformation journey?
Definitely. Thanks, Paul. So cybersecurity is one of the fundamental security measures to enable and support the cloud transformation as well as digital transformation. Some of the key concerns that we see in customers' view is, first of all, whether the enablement can fulfill regulatory requirements, right? Secondly, is it secure in terms of their crown jewel asset? Thirdly, is whether their existing IT governance and or operating model can keep up with this transformation, so that it can achieve a timely go-to-market, as well as to have the skill set to sustain the platform, right? So if we talk about the regulatory type of perceptions, or as well as the maturity in the market, we do see a lot of successful cases that big financial services company or other MNC company can actually grant green light to go into the public cloud infrastructure, right? Even with their core banking systems, etc. So in terms of that, the cloud assessment type of framework, risk management framework, do have the maturity to protect the enterprise as well as to regulate the cloud service providers. Secondly is the cybersecurity technology as a whole, right? So nowadays, in terms of the cybersecurity monitoring in logged management, there are AI technologies that actually monitor it automatically rather than the traditional rule-based type of arrangement. And also, the integrated type of incident response mechanism can provide timely support for these enterprises. Talking about the cross-border requirements, in certain cases, this is still in a gray areas, right? Regulations in different countries is still evolving. So therefore, as a recommendations to these enterprise, first of all, they need to actually understand what type of data is being cross-border or have the cross-border data transfer type of execution to understand themselves. Secondly, what are the mechanism and channel that they actually transmitting? And thirdly is to how well they actually design the security measures to properly monitor the entire data transmission as a whole. Last but not least is the close monitoring of these regulations being evolved as a whole. Those are some of the key important points.
And Eva, you mentioned about using technology like AI to help enable cybersecurity. Do you see all these emerging technology, AI, blockchain, etc., and cloud, are they opportunities or threats?
From my view, I think definitely is an opportunity. Although the fundamental risk management and security protections needs to be in place. Just be honest with you, even you're thinking about these emerging technologies, but some of the risk areas is basically coming from the fundamental side. Either is change management in full, or the source code review not being sufficient, or the coding standard is not secure, or even access control that is inadequate, right? So if we do all that properly, using these emerging technologies definitely is a plus for us.
And I'm aware that some of our clients are starting to engage your team to provide managed service for cybersecurity. And they are not small clients, some of them are actually large corporates. Would you mind sharing like the decision point or consideration for those clients when they decided to outsource some of these management to you?
Well, first of all, there are one key concerns or threats for all the enterprise across the globe is the scarcity of cybersecurity skill set, right? So that's first of all not enough skill set. Secondly, it's very hard to retain this skill set. So therefore, if they want to actually build a very comprehensive and skillful team, that is really hard, right? So that is one of the major drivers that why they want to actually outsource it. Secondly, it's about the threat intelligence knowledge base, right? So Deloitte actually have a comprehensive global-wise threat intelligence knowledge base, which we can leverage, and we can get promptly threat intelligence to be able to prevent certain cyber attack, or be able to actually act promptly on the prevention. So that is also a very key advantage to outsource the capabilities to a firm like Deloitte, rather they actually handle their own. Thirdly is the systematic type of operation in managing security, and also the incident response capability with forensic, right? So if we can have a team stand by for 24/7 to protect our customer, they can sleep well at night, that if there's certain problem, some experts are behind them to actually help them on a timely manner.
That's really good to know. Now let's turn to our digital leader, Alan. So Alan, how are we helping our client to start the digital transformation journey?
Let me give you two use cases, right? One of them is for an online retailer, selling, basically hosting a marketplace and selling many different products for different merchants, right? And what we have helped them do is that we actually help them to set up a open data platform or open data bank where they can leverage, because they have been operating in the market for a long time. However, a lot of information may be scattered, right, or may not have been put together to really understand from a customer-centric point of view. And what we have helped them do is, consolidate all these data together to put it as a customer 360. So then they can really be able to better enhance their business in terms of targeting their customers or helping their merchants to provide more personalized offerings to their customers. Another use case that we have done is for one of the conglomerate in Hong Kong as well. So basically they have a lot of banners, right? And they have all the way from food and beverages to grocery shopping, etc. Right? And what we have helped them do, pretty similar concept, right? Of course, I think because during COVID or after COVID, a lot of times all these companies are under a even bigger stress in terms of competitions, be it online, offline, to getting the customers to their stores, right? So again, they need to make sure that they see how do they enhance the brand loyalty, right? So that's why we actually help them to create a loyalty program to see how do we strengthen that brand loyalty. So then when you're shopping at, shop A of one of their stores to, shop another brand, they all would come to the same umbrella of companies. So that's what we help them with as well. And also with that said, not only does it help with the brand loyalty, similar to the case I shared earlier, right? It's about the data. They are getting so much more data, right? And that's why we actually help them with setting up this I think it would be the biggest loyalty program in Hong Kong to really help strengthen their business and actually create a community of good users as well.
Will you also share some of the challenges and adoption barriers with our audience? And what kind of enablers can help our clients to overcome those challenges?
Yeah, good question, Paul. I think in terms of challenges, right?
there's definitely quite a bunch of challenges, right? But I guess I'll name maybe the top 3 off the top of my mind, right? The first one is, I think, similar to the use cases I talked to you about just now, right? A lot of these initiatives are actually driven from the executive level. So the executive vision, the alignment is very important, but at the same time, it's very important to bring the operation team to the table and make sure that they are all in sync and aligned and push this out in a very short amount of time, because agile is everything right now. So yeah, that alignment between the executives and the operation is extremely important, and one of the challenges we definitely need to cater to. The second thing I would say is that a lot of the examples that I gave you just now are actually customer-oriented applications. So when people in the community, we need to think about how are we get people to buy into the apps, right? How are we gonna attract people to join the loyalty program, for example, right? A lot of the mindset elements, right? The attractiveness or the branding all needs to come into place to see how people would buy in and use the system. And the third thing, which is kind of tied to the second one, is on the data privacy, right? Because if you want people to be using the app and doing all these things, a lot of times you need to also make sure that they are comfortable sharing whatever information that they're sharing, right? Be it their purchasing behavior, navigation behavior. So data privacy is extremely important, right? We need to make sure whatever we do is compliant to and that people feel comfortable of doing that.
I think people still have the misconception that you either go cloud or not cloud, to cloud or not to cloud, but it's rarely that binary, right? So I'd really like to have the opportunity to explain how you can go from traditional on-premises to hybrid cloud to now edge computing, and how you bring that together and govern that as well. So looking forward to that.
How about you, Eva?
For the deep dive, I would like to share some interesting insights around the emerging technology. As we all know, there are risks in emerging technologies, and a lot of customers do want to know how hackers actually compromise these say, for example, hack into cryptocurrency or blockchain ecosystems. So we're going to have sessions to actually share about that, and then give some insights on how these real cases actually exercised it. Secondly is we see a lot of interest in the Greater Bay Areas in doing digital transformation across the border. Maybe they are actually violating some rules which they may not aware. We are going to talk and discuss a bit on that as well. Echoing what Daniel was saying about the cloud and non-cloud, when doing the managed security services, a lot of customers may want to know what are the functionalities that they should do in-source, or what are the functionalities of managed security services that they need to outsource, or how they can actually integrate the two operations together effectively. Right? So we can share a bit on that as well.
Alan. Yeah, sure, Paul. And actually glad to have that session coming up, right? So for us, right, similar to what I talked to you about just now, everything that we do or everything that we help our clients do is to be customer centric. We need to make sure that whatever we do as a business is customer oriented. And in order to do that, and what does that mean, right, is, well, if we put the customer in the middle, then we need to think about, right, what's the right customer experience that we need to provide them. So then we can engage them the best and they love to interact with us, right, or even transact with us. And then, but however, in order to do that, data is also so important, right? We need to make sure that, well, how are we gonna know about this customer? So then we can do the proper things. So that the second portion of it would be around data. And how do we make that happen? Like, there's a lot of technologies that can make it happen, right? Be it with AI, be it with customer data platform, or even MarTech, et cetera, right? Or even chatbots, right? How do we leverage all these, right, to provide, that customer experience, right, with the data that we have? And of course, lastly, it's about, from a proposition launching perspective, because, great, a lot of companies can have different ideas, but how are you going to win in the market is if you have a bright idea and you get it out in the market fast. And that is also what we're going to talk about. How are we going to launch a proposition quickly to the market? Because agility is everything.
Sounds really exciting. I'm sure everyone looks forward to learning more from you. Thank you very much.